Hello, House of Matthews here for today's analysis, I should say. Video game analysis. So, I guess I should start by saying this. So, last weekend, well, last week I should say, I was attending at the Nintendo Live Games Convention here at Sydney, Australia. Um, and, well, yeah, at the International Convention Centre, I think it was, yeah. And, yeah, I know, and well, I had a really fun time, I should say. It was probably such an incredible experience. I mean, I was able to play some demos of games. No, um, watch some tournaments and get the opportunity to meet the one and only Charles Martinet, which was a highlight of mine, and my brother because I took him with me. And yeah, I mean, it was an incredible time. In fact, if I actually was in the audience for the Mario Kart 8 tournament, um, early in the day, and I actually got spotted. Well, I actually got caught it on camera and I was even shown on the on Nintendo's on Nintendo's YouTube video of it, as you can see right about here. And yeah, there I am, just wearing the same hat. Yeah, so it was a fun time, and I was thinking maybe I should do something, do a video in relation to a Nintendo game. And then I realized there's a couple of games I really do actually want to talk about. And and especially after last weekend, I figured might as well give it a go. So I'm going to talk about my experience. And keep in mind, I haven't yet completed these games. Okay, I completed one of the recently released, for the first time outside of Japan, the legendary Stafy Trilogy from the Game Boy Advance. Now, those who are familiar with this are probably like, what is this game? Well, I'm pretty sure you're familiar, if you've played Super Smash Bros., would remember a certain assist trophy that would pop up of a starfish just spinning around and doing whatever with some weird sound effects. Well, that is Starfy, also known as Staffy in translated from Japan. In fact, that's what it was known as in Brawl because yeah, there was not really any games released at that point outside of America. Well, outside Japan, sorry. Yeah, and I'm sure, and you're probably like, and the more, and of course, so you're like, okay, well, cutesy looks a bit like Kirby. In fact, one of the most obvious things that people talk about this is the fact that people say that this is the Kirby game set under in the ocean, and I'm like, yeah, I'll talk a bit about that. And in total, there are five games in this series. The first three were released on the GBA, and known as the Ogre trilogy, as fans would probably refer to them. The fourth game, now the Japanese top name for these games is Densetsu no Stafy, and which translates to the legendary Stafy, and well into English. And the first four games, the fourth game being released for the DS, were only released in Japan. The fifth game, which was just named the Legendary Starfy because we didn't have any other games localized for Western audiences, was released worldwide, I think, in 2009 or 8. I don't know, but yeah, for the DS. And one of the main things is that the translators deemed this was too Japanese for Western audiences or Japanese customs. Yeah, there's some references to Japanese food and fish and all that, but really caught completely. I think fans could have still enjoyed it. I was thinking it was more due to the fact of how cutesy it looked. And and I'm still a little bit surprised because yes, there is elements of the art style look a bit like Kirby, but these are completely different games of how when it comes to how things with what you do in them. And yeah, even the abilities are different. Yeah. But yeah, for what it is. So the first three I've never played the fifth game. So when the Game Boy Advance Trilogy was announced to come to Nintendo Switch Online, the Game Boy Advance edition for the expansion pass. With I was excited, even though they didn't bother translating it to English. I mean, come on, if it's disappointing. I mean, if Ace 2 Investigations 2 has been translated for English finally in the Ace 2 Investigations collection, which just came out today, I think. Um, why couldn't Nintendo do it with this? I mean, yes, the company who made the games, Tosei, don't really do much. Well, as far as I know, when they don't have that many people in there, but still, I mean, they were able to I mean, they released Super Princess Peach. Yeah, and, that got localized, but whatever. Anyway, so what is the basic summary of this trilogy? Well, we play as Stafy, the Starship Prince of the of the Cloud Kingdom, Puff Top, who is very much a a bit of an innocent, but is also very clumsy. And as we see in the beginning of the first game, he inadvertently, well, he while carrying treasure out from while transitioning treasure from room to room, he accidentally trips over and loses a bunch of treasures. Unfortunately, one of the treasures that he drops from the castle was a vase, and this vase was a very dangerous one because inside is an evil genie, sea slug, sea dragon. I don't know what it is, and this whose name is Ogre, who is known to have attacked the kingdom of Puff Top, and now he's been released. He he seeks revenge and is now and is and by unleashing a wild storm. Well, as you can see here, the storm ravages and ends up knocking out our dear our dear prince off his home from his home and falling into the ocean right below. As you can see right from this cutscene right here. Needless to say, this obviously, being the crybaby that he is, Starfy is obviously very depressed, but quickly he finds help in the form of an old lobster named Old Man Lobber. Old Lobber, I think it is, or Old Man Lobber. And and also meeting up with a greedy treasure hunting clan known as Mo. He sets off to get back home and save his family from this evil genie. Yeah, so simple enough a premise to start the first game. And honestly, I find it enjoyable for what it is. And you basically are trying to get Starfy's trying to get back home and save his parents from the destruction that he's unleashed. Simple enough. Why not? And well, to be fair, the first game is fairly fairly simple when it comes to gameplay too. I mean, I can't really think of it really getting that hard, to be honest. All right, and and as I'm saying, I mean, the story it's fine enough. Just get to enjoy what you see is what you get, and just unleash it. And let's see, let's basically. And well, I mean, to be fair, the game is pretty easy to control. Starfy is a as you know starfish, and but most of the time you will spend it in the water, being able to just moving around and unleashing attacking enemies and so on. I mean, and and for what it is, I think that it's smooth enough. To be fair, I don't find Starfy a hard to control character. And on me, if he has some good abilities, his movement is fine. And while underwater, you get to attack by basically doing a spin, well, basically a dash/spin attack to destroy blocks and take out enemies. And it's easy enough to grasp, and I find it simple to control, and his underwater movement is great. Of course, not that's you not only have to move around the water, but you also have to move around up air in on the ground, and this is where I think most people get people compare it to Kirby. I don't. Stafy is nimble and is easy enough to control on land, but he does have some. And while you may think being a starfish means he won't probably have really have any mobility on in the air, but that's actually not totally true. Um, One of the main things you're able to do with this, in particular, as you can see as I go back, is while his jumps are fine, he has the ability to glide or hover, I should say, where he flaps it after jumping, he flaps his arms around and glides down. He can also still attack while on air, and it's easy enough to manage. Of course, one thing to also keep in mind is that you have to collect things. You get these star-shaped coins that you just saw, which are basically like currency, and for later games you use to buy stuff whether it be accessories or additions to most house and later games, which I'll discuss later soon. But they also, after getting five in each game, after getting five of them, collecting five of them, you can even heal a bit of your health bar right here if you take lost damage. You can also heal health by hitting these clams and getting this mermaid to give you a kiss, wink at you and it heals you up. I don't know. I never really bothered with that. I never really can't really think of any moment where I was injured or anything. But yeah, okay, except for bosses, which again I'll discuss. The main reason behind it is that most enemies are actually a bit of well, sort of pushovers. I can't really recall any real enemies during each level that really gave me too much of a hassle outside of maybe a few of the stage hazards. But I mean, I'm playing one of the easiest levels in the first game, but outside of maybe some of I think yeah, when I get hit by an enemy, it's just really bad luck. It's not really poor enemy design. I think the only enemies that sort of get a little bit annoying is some of the cloud enemies in later levels where they can actually shoot electricity at you, but that's really about it well, at least in the first game. There's some of them, and I guess the sharks that you can't actually kill, but you just have to stun them can be a bit annoying if you have trouble. But again, I don't think you'll have too much issues when it comes to this stuff. To be fair, it's easy enough to. Mo will also at some if you hit these black areas, Mo will give you hints, and I don't know. I mean, the fact is, since this hasn't been translated from English, maybe like, if you're really struggling, you probably should look up an English translation a let's play of an English translation. That'll help you piece together things. I don't know. And for what it is, it's fine and whatever. You know, but regular platforming isn't the only thing you have to do, as there are other things that will show up from time to time in these games. One of the main ones that I think stands out in the first game are the mini games, which you have to do to sort of get through certain levels and everything. I wouldn't, they're fun. The mini games are fun, but they're pretty simple to be fair. Most of them involve you controlling Mo in sort of like these arcade pinball style mini games. And I wouldn't, again, it's easy enough to win. They sort of reward you with more coins, which does help when you want to get 100%, especially when it comes to say Stafy's photo album and I guess and the treasures, I guess, or dictionary. I don't know. To be fair, but yeah, they're fine enough for being mandatory to complete every level for the first time. I don't find them too much hard. They're serviceable, and I wouldn't really play them past the first time you play each level. And of course, the other major thing is the vehicles area. Are the vehicles. In certain levels, Starfy will be able to after completing a certain mini game from a vehicle trainer, I think they are called. I forget. I don't know. You get the access to be able to control certain vehicles like this, the hot air balloon, which I don't know. If you call this moment, I know it's one of the earliest ones you can collect, but I think I actually can found that one last, which is a bit yeah, whatever. Along with this, you can also control some of the other ones I recall in the first game. Is a bear suit where you can where you growl and you're able to activate secret platforms or something like that, which returns in later games as different suits. And one of my and in the first game also the witch broom where you can fly around as a wicked witch and attack enemies on sights. 2D side scrolling area. That's cool. Yeah, they're cool, whatever. And at the very end of each level, you take on a boss. And this is probably one of the things I would say are the weakest part of the games. I mean, the bosses are creatively designed, and I like the fact that the level bar changes style, because you go from hearts to sort of like a full on, sort of like what you would see in say Kirby Superstar's Samurai Showdown thing or something like that. And yeah, it looks dynamic and whatever, but the bosses are easy to fight, with the exception of some of Ogre's boss fights, which do take a lot longer. Being that he's the final boss and everything. Well, okay, not technically in the third game, but we'll get to that. It's easy enough to manage, and at the end of each level, when he beats the boss, you witness the Stafy dance, is what I call it. Very Crash Bandicoot-esque, but much shorter. Whatever. At the end of the level, you get a tally up of how many points you get, and figure out, and you get to see, well, how well you've done. And the more, coins you collect, the more you get the opportunity to fill out Staffi's picture in the first game, which, as you can see, I've already done. Yeah. As you can see, in the first game, there are only 9 levels. Well, okay, technically I would say there's really only 8, because the first level, well, is fine when you first begin. You don't really get to play the rest of it after you're 100% complete. The only reason you go back in is to collect the treasures, which I should probably discuss right now. You see, after defeating Ogre for the first time, you have to go back through the game all over again to find the rest of the treasures that Stafy dropped in the opening. Which leads to a very funny interaction between Mo and Stafy's parents, which is kind of hilarious. And you have to collect a total of, I think, 45, yeah, 45 treasures. What are the treasures? These are the treasures, all 45 of them. And yeah, there's some strange treasures. I mean, who would have thought you would have to collect a doghouse, a rice ball, and I think is it a teapot, and I guess a dice, really, and poop. Yeah, that's poop right there. See, simple. First time I do understand, like the sword, the magic staff, the gold, the bag of money, the Game Boy Mario's gloves, and Luigi's hat. Yeah, Luigi's hat. See, it's perfect. It makes perfect sense why I'm wearing that. Yeah. Yeah. To 100% complete the game, you have to obviously get all of the treasures, complete the photograph with everyone in it, and also and complete the dictionary. Which okay, well, I've completed the photograph and got all the treasures. I never really completed the dictionary. I don't even know how to, especially with not having an English translation. And well, boy, but to be fair, I think once you at least get that photograph done, you get to see the additional part of the credits, where it's been interesting as we get to delve into the backstory of the greedy treasure hunting clan Mo. And his backstory is one of the most developed things in this trilogy, and it is really, really depressing when you go over everything. We basically learn that Mo was abandoned by his father, and after his mother died, he was forced to raise his 3 younger siblings. And well, he lives in a rundown shack with no and has no money, so he resorts to treasure hunting in order to provide for his brothers and for his siblings, and give them a good life. And yeah, I mean, it's really tragic. I mean, when I first saw Mo, I was like, okay, his name's Mo. I'm thinking Mo Sislak, and his greedy nature probably fits that way. And even saw his grouchy attitude also. But the one thing he has over Mo is that, well, yeah, Mo Sislak is also very much a greedy, self-centered, a bit self-centered. He's also, you can tell he's definitely very much a a bad guy to be around, and sort of gets what he deserves at certain moments. I can only imagine certain parts. Though he also does, much like Mo the Clam here, he does have bad things happen and funny circumstances. Which there are really some good moments in The Simpsons involving Mo Sizzler.
Stupid wishing well.
Yeah, but in the end, Mo does get, he cares a lot for his siblings, and you see him at the very end. He gives using all he's yeah, well, he takes all the treasures from Stafy. He sells them to provide for his family, and you kind of feel okay with that. It's a really touching ending. Yeah, but in general, I think Densetsu no Stafy is a fun game to play and enjoyable. Like the soundtrack's also pretty good. I mean, the Game Boy Advance's sound compression was never the best, but for their original games, they worked pretty well. And I think Densetsu no Stafy has some really good tunes, especially the level complete music when it comes to Stafy's dance and certain level themes as well. And I love the opening tile theme that he plays in every single level, every single game. Yeah, and yeah, it's a fun game. Densetsu no Stafy, definitely the easiest to jump into, and because it's fairly short. As I said, there's only 9 levels, and they go by pretty quickly, especially when you're going back to collect everything. And yeah, definitely all those treasures make probably bring the most out of Kirby, especially the Great Cave Offensive in Superstar and Superstar Ultra. But yeah, um, but for what it is, of course, with as I said, this is a trilogy, and we did get 3 more games to come after this. And well, when I think of that fact and trilogies originally from the Game Boy Advance, I think automatically of especially those that were originally exclusive to Japan. I already brought up Ace Attorney 1, so I might as well bring up Ace Attorney again. And yeah, it's definitely clear this is an overarching story over each game. And well, I think it was maybe 1 or 2 years later in Japan, they got Densetsu no Stafy 2. And well, I can say it's an improvement in some areas, but let's just talk. Let me just show you what I think of it, to be honest. We see that we see that Ogre has decided to enact revenge once more and get revenge on Starfy for everything that he's done. But how to do it while he's trapped inside his magic pot is a bit tricky. So he comes up with an idea. He decides to create a bunch of smaller versions, like, and well, basically he creates his own children. How so? Well, I can't really. You're just gonna have to watch it. It's um, where did I see? I'm trying to think of where I've seen this before because it's very very strange. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, now I remember, but I don't want to bring it. Yeah, he creates it out of yeah, booger children. Oh my gosh, yeah. So he creates these booger children, and because they're small enough, they are able to escape the jar or the pot, I should say, or vase, and they in turn break the vase and allow Ogre to escape. So, so as you can see, Ogre gets free, and this time he doesn't just want to, he doesn't stay and want to kick Starfy out of his own kingdom and force him to return. This time he actually decides, while Starfy is hiding underneath him, inside Mo, he decides to kidnap his own mother. And don't know why he doesn't go for the father too, but yeah, he kidnaps Starfy's mum, and well, Stafy is obviously distraught and is determined to after having a bit of a meltdown, or his crybaby antics or something like that. He and Mo head off again to to stop over and this time rescue his own mother. If there is one thing I first got to give credit to is how much they make Stafy more, well, is how much they make Stafy more bit more developed when it comes to his emotions. I mean, yes, we already know that he's a bit clumsy and a bit of a crybaby from the first game, but just look at sprite quality here when it comes to how he his reaction after everything that his mother's been taken away. It adds a bit more to the character. I mean, Mo was the more expressive one in the first game for obvious reasons, but at least in the second game they gave Starfy a bit more of a personality, and I'm grateful for that they did it with the pixel art here, and I like that for what it is. And another thing to keep in mind is just how much of expansive the world is now. I mean, Jesus is a lot. We went from 9 levels to about to well 11. So yeah, an extra world, and plus there's also the shop levels and all that. And they do keep most of the mini games in the um, from the first game, as well as a few additional ones, as well as the transformations. Yeah, so it's all fine. And once again, you collect treasures, and like there is the photo book I think in this one too. I don't really care too much. And another thing that's also cool is the fact there are actually 4 levels in each level when you go for the first time, and 2 additional ones that get unlocked after the end of after you beat over for the first time. So that's all cool. I like that. Starfy also even has new abilities that he can use. For one, he can now double jump, which is great. And also when he's high up in the air, he can do some sort of do a jump and then form a bit of a spike and sort of dive down and impale things from high distances, which is great. And again, I like that ability. However, if there is one thing I'm not a big fan of is the fact that you unlock new abilities in each level or in different levels. And the glide, which I thought was the best ability in the first game, you don't unlock till think about the fourth level, which is kind of disappointing, especially with how long it takes. And the fact there are 4 individual levels in each world is disappointing. With that said, I was impressed with how well they improved the vehicles and all that. I found that a lot better than the first game. So yeah, I do like that. To be fair, and to be fair, the boss fights they improved a lot more too. I mean, the fact there's a lot more of them, and being a lot longer game helps. And there's new enemies, and Starfy's new moves do sort of help out a bit. And I mean, it's also cool to see a lot of and the menus also style up a bit more too when it comes to being able to access mini games and all that. I like it, and it's fun. Starfy 2 does seem like an improvement, and the story is a lot more engaging and everything. It's much more urgency. It seems like a massive step forward, and in many ways it is. However, I do feel like this is the weakest of the Game Boy Advance trilogy. I don't know why, but when I was playing it, after being the first game, at least most of the first game done, I was like, I was playing through it fine. I was having a fun time. I was enjoying the levels. And the graphics are still good, the soundtrack's still good, but I just felt bored all of a sudden, and I don't know why. I was having too much new things in it. It hurt a little bit. And I wasn't ready immediately for the fact that this went from just one level for a small enough hub world to just going for 4 levels in each world, and I was like, I don't know. Even then, some of the mini, well, the mini games were decreasing their value of significance here. The vehicles are much more prevalent, and there's a lot more of them. And the fact is, I wish the glide was there right from the start. I mean, yes, the double jump helps a bit, but I don't know. I just didn't really care too much. So much so after being over, I just didn't even want to go continue on and 100% complete it. I don't know why, but I just couldn't find the will to go back to it. Even then, this is probably the first time just going back to have a feel of it and play it again. And I was like, oh, I still don't feel like I want to fully play it the whole way through. I mean, it's still the same game, and I'm sure it is a better game, and I'm sure there's probably fans who say this is great, but and I can see why. But I don't know why. I just didn't really have any staying power for me to continue on. Whether or not I do when they find a time to complete it, that'll be a different story. But for now, I don't know, it's probably the weakest of my least favorite of the Game Boy Advance trilogy. But let's talk about the third game. Now, Densetsu no Stafy 3, and what I consider to be the most well known of the original Game Boy Advance games, for one reason, but we'll get to that. But I think definitely, probably my favorite of the original trilogy. One thing I will say that the opening has a bit weaker compared to the first two is the fact that, well, there's no real build up to Ogura actually escaping from his confinement for a third time. I mean, probably the Tosei may have been running out of some ideas, but we just automatically start the kingdom in shambles and we don't know what's going on that will cause Ogura to get released. I mean, because all these children actually stay dead after Stafy defeats them each in the second game. So you're wondering what is going on and why is Ogura and who's trying to release Ogura. We get this clue with this mysterious entity who the English translation is known as evil. Wow. But through the game we learn that evil has an overarching presence throughout all the trilogy and is finally fed up with Ogura's incompetence in taking over Puff Top. And after destroying the plot once more for the final time, Ogre is released, and he just runs away. Okay, this is getting intriguing. So yeah, there is some uh, essence of mystery behind it as to what Ogre is actually afraid of, because well, especially in the original Japanese translation, because as I said, this game hasn't been translated from English to being localized in English. So there is some question marks as to why Ogre is sort of especially as you see in certain moments throughout the end of each level, Ogre's fear. So there is some things to keep in mind. How so once again, Stafy and Mo head off to take care of Ogre for the final time in his trilogy. However, the king and Stafy's parents think it's too much for Stafy to handle on his own, so they bring on help in the form of Stafy's younger sister, Starly, or Stappy as she's known in Japanese. And yeah, it's kind of surprising that Staffy's always had a sister, yet Mo never knew about it, and they play around with it a bit. And for what it is, they look the same. Just the fact that Starly's pink has cheek shows a bit more cheeks and has the ribbon on her left side. But in general, she is the younger sister. Surprised that the parents actually allow her to merely take off. But yeah, for what it is, I'm okay with it. Stuffy has a younger sister, and she's hilarious. She does have some funny moments. I think the best moment I always like with each of the openings how they end up falling off Puff Top. In the first game, Starfy gets knocked out, it falls out due to the weather caused on by Ogre's release. In the second game, he actually pulls Mo off despite his reluctance in order to save his mum. But in the third game, Starly, despite ends up pushing Mo and Starfy off Puff Top to go on their adventure. And yeah, I always find that kind of hilarious personally. And how each of the animations, each sprite design for is different for each game on how they fall off Puff Top, which is kind of hilarious. Yeah, I like that. I'm easy to please with some sprite animation and sprite designs. Yeah, there's always a charm with it, especially with 16-bit and newer 8-bit Renaissance stuff. Yeah, I always love that stuff. Yeah, the animation also helps with some of the opening intros, the opening animations for each level. I mean, yeah, they're recycled for each level, which doesn't really connect well with certain story elements, but there is a lot of fun to it, to be fair. And yeah, there's some really good stuff like this one here when it comes to Staffy and Starly eating all the cotton candy clouds and love and well known. That's pretty cool. Well, I will say outside of the vehicle transformation, Staffy's controls are about the same. It's Starly that gets the most interesting stuff. Her she's available to be used in certain levels in the first half at specific moments, and for what they are, that they're fine enough. I liked a lot of her. I like a lot of her, but there are two main differences that speak like one is the fact that she can crawl, while Staffy has to slide under walls for certain moments. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'm not too much of a big fan, but her wall jump is my favorite. Is her best ability in my view. I get a lot of kicks out of when she gets the wall jump, and that's what makes her traversing levels much more fun. And for what it is, her animations are good. She's a great person to play as, and I really enjoy it. I will also say that the music is probably the weakest of the original trilogy here. It's strange actually how when I compare this to Ace Attorney of how certain things play out and everything. I'm like, I always thought that the Ace Attorney games got better with the soundtrack for each game, but this one it just feels like they went a little bit weaker. I feel like there's a bit of a tinny feel to it to the game, which doesn't really work, with the exception of a few tracks. To be fair, the game also, along with figuring out why Ogre is afraid of evil, also completes everything with Mo's backstory. Because after you 100% complete the second game, you learn a bit more about why the situation between Mo's parents. And in the third game, we actually meet his father, and geez, is their relationship quite interesting. It's obviously clear that Mo resents his father for abandoning his mother and siblings, but it is clear that Mo still cares about that there is still love for him, and yeah, you really do feel a lot for Mo, especially in towards the end when, well, I'm not going to give away what happens, but yeah, there's a really there's a really tragic scene right before the fight with Ogre between Mo and his father. But of course, I can't go without mentioning everything to do with World 8 in this. And oh, jeez. I think when I said that this game is the most famous out of all the Starfy trilogy, it's mainly due to the fact of what happens in World 8. And it's probably the whole reason why everyone knows about this trilogy, even before it got released in Japan, even before, everything. And I can't just say it. I gotta play the scene with what happens. Here you go. Yeah. What more can you say? I mean, I think there's ever been a Nintendo cameo quite like this one. And look, it's not like this hasn't. Starfy was never mentioned outside Japan. I mean, there was the movie poster at the Yoshi Theater for a Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, which obviously paid reference to Starfy, and yeah, there is that. But this is probably the real reason why people are familiar with this. I mean, well, what can you say? Out of nowhere, at the start of level 8, Wario jumps in and hijacks the whole entire flow of that chapter. It's unbelievable. And he just shoved at the end of World 1, he shoves Mo and Starly out of the way and forces Starfy to team up with him. It's like, it's incredible. Jeez, I love it. And they even referenced it in Starfy's uh, trophy in Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Take a look. Jeez, I love it. And it's not just the fact that you're interacting with Wario um, in this level, but just what you do in this level is just so incredible. I mean, I just gotta show. Yeah, I'll show you. Just watch it. Look at this right here. So as you can see, Wario's up there. You're getting ready to start to. You obviously have to tell you're going to do something. So you spin right here. What does you do? You activate Flaming Warrior from Wario Land. This is incredible. You actually interact with Wario in some capacity in these levels, by helping him utilize his abilities in his own game. Well, the games that he was most well known for, which in this case was the Warrior Land series, sorry. And I mean, just what other games can you think of that do anything like this? And it's not just Flame Warrior, you also have Bubble Warrior and Puppy Warrior, or whatever the name was of Warrior's abilities in the in they allow him to fly. I mean, just I still can't believe it. I mean, just look at this. I I can't believe it that Nintendo did this. This is incredible. And as I said before, as I said before, he hijacks the entirety of the chapter. You're helping him steal treasure, much like how you do in Wario Land. You even hear the Wario Land theme as he at the end of each level when you get treasures. And speaking of these treasures, this is even more of a love letter. I mean, all the treasures are connected to Wario in general. You get his own cap, his nose, and and even a copy of Wario where Micro Games Inc. for the Game Boy Advance. And I mean, as I said, he was, and you get to use his abilities, activate his abilities from the games, and even this cutscene where he sends Mo and Starfy away. What does he do? He shoulder charges them. It's incredible. Like there's a Nintendo game that Nintendo actually allowed Kosei to do this. This is incredible. I can't believe it. It just brings a smile to my face. If there is two nitpicks I have with that is the fact that when Starly and Mo get shoved out by Wario, it doesn't change. They play the opening intro cinematic that you see at the beginning of the first level. I'm like, surely they could have changed that to fit the story. And the fact is, while you get all those treasures from Wario, you can't actually have them all on together on Stafy in the menu. I'm like, come on, I want to have Wario's hat, nose, and Wario and holding WarioWare, Starfy in the whole entire menu. Come on. Well, with that said, I can't look past it. It's just absolutely gold. Yeah, and Densetsu no Stafy 3 is easily my favorite of the trilogy because of it. But there's a lot more other things I like about it too, especially when it comes to the conclusion of wrapping up everything in the game. And unlike the second game, I will try and 100% complete it. I feel the urge to do it. There's a lot more I like in it. But yeah, in general, I think this is a really good. I really do enjoy these games. And while I was a little bit let down, didn't really think two was a bit of a disappointment for me. Just keep in mind, I just felt a little bit burned out by it. But yeah, for what I thought this trilogy is great, and I'm glad it's now out for for out for people outside Japan to play it officially without resorting to fan translations. Though I think people should still look at those fan translations at least to you know get an idea a bit more of the story with certain elements, and especially when it and also helping to locate treasures and all that if you're going to 100% complete them. But what it is like. They're out on. If you have the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pass with the Game Boy Advance app, definitely give them a go. They're fun games. I'm not really going to give full-on scores for them, but I would say if I had to, I would probably, if I had to give a ranking, I'll go two at last, one second, three first. Now I still haven't played the fourth or fifth game. Sure I can maybe find the fifth game. Well, maybe. Was there released in Australia? I don't know, but you never know. But in the meantime, I had a good time with this, and yeah, definitely say give it a play. I mean, I don't think we're ever going to get Mother 3 anytime soon, so might as well play something that Nintendo's just willing to give us from those exclusive to Japan. It's free games. What can you say? But in the meantime, so what's next? Well, I'll probably go back to my regular movie reviews, but well, I had a lot of fun with this video, so. In the meantime, House of Pants Reviews is out, and I shall see you next time. Ciao!